Hi friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk about the books I recently read, what I currently read, and what I am planning to read. I usually read either crime novels like thrillers and stuff or fantasy stories with dragons and fairies and magic. So let's start with two books I recently read. The first one is Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. This one gripped me right away. I think I finished it within a couple of days. This is only my second Riley Sager book, and I really enjoyed reading this one. I don't really get the quote from Stephen King, though. I read Gone Girls, and these are two completely different stories. Oh, and in case you were wondering, I usually buy most of the books secondhand, unless it is a special edition I really want to have, or a book that I absolutely adore. Or sometimes I cannot find books secondhand, so I buy them new then. But anyway, yes, Last Time I Lied is about Emma, who spent one summer in Camp Nightingale. She befriended a girl named Allison, and she was just fascinated by her. But one night, Allison and two of her friends disappeared without a trace. And Emma, still being somewhere between a child and a teenager, lied what about she saw that night? Eventually the investigation stopped and the girls are never found. And years later, Emma returns to Camp Nightingale and she has to face her demons of the past, if you will. And I absolutely recommend reading that book. It is a relatable story and has lots of twists and turns, and I really liked it. So the second one I recently read is The Third Wife by Lisa Jewell. I am a huge fan of Lisa's books. I read quite a few. And this one was a really interesting story, not as dark as some of her other stories, but still as thrilling to read. So this one is about Adrian, who loses his third wife in suspicious circumstances. It is unclear if she took her own life or if it was just an accident. And the story really is about Adrian realizing that he has been lying to himself basically his whole adult life about how he is the good guy who always did the best for his family. And he slowly realizes that his alleged big happy patchwork family of 2 ex-wives, 5 kids, and 1 dead wife is not what he thought. I think this is a beautiful portrait of family tragedy. I know that is kind of weird to say, how can tragedy be beautiful? But I think Lisa describes all the issues and struggles within the relationships of the different family members brilliantly. And I believe lots of people can relate to that. Just a little heads up, some of her novels hit me pretty hard, like, these two. She sometimes just dives into, just the darkness of human nature, and that can be quite frightening because, we know it is real. But nevertheless, I enjoy reading her books, and there was not a single one I didn't like so far, so I definitely recommend reading this one. And of course, I have another one from Lisa Jewell. This one I haven't read yet. The description doesn't really tell much, besides there is a girl found unconscious in Garden Square, which is supposed to be a very safe and calm place to live. And this is said to be a family drama and a psychological thriller, which are most of her books, but I think it is so relatable. Family affairs are always so complicated, and again, I think so many people can relate to that. I definitely do. And like I said, I read a lot of Lisa's books, and that's why I also picked up this one. And I also do like the cover, I have to say. Alright, moving on to the Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. I have been after this book for quite a while. I wanted to buy it secondhand but never found it, so I finally decided to buy it new. I read another book by Simone St. James before, and I really like how she incorporates supernatural elements in her crime stories. And this one is about a young woman named Carly Kirk who investigates the disappearance of her aunt Viv. And Viv worked at the Sundown Motel as a night clerk many years ago. And one night, she mysteriously disappeared without a trace. And that description alone was enough to get me hooked, especially because I liked the book I read before, which is called Broken Girls. And I'm very excited to finally have this one and to read it, and I will definitely let you know how I like it. Right, so I have also two fantasy novels I am very excited about to read. The first one is Lud-In-The-Mist by Hope Merleese. And this book first came out in 1926, I believe, but it is still very relevant and has great reviews. I know that does not mean necessarily I am going to like it, but I found the story very intriguing. It is about a little quiet town governed by Nathaniel Chanticleer, who soon finds out that forbidden fairy fruit is being trafficked in the town and somehow his son might be involved. It is said to be a crime story, but also a fantasy novel, and those are two things I absolutely love. So yeah, I am pretty excited about this one, and I hope I will like it, fingers crossed. Yeah. The other fantasy novel I have is Where the Dark Stands Still by A.B. Poranek. This is a proper fantasy story with magic and demons and fairies, and I have to say the cover is absolutely stunning. So the story is about Liska, who discovers she has magical powers. Since having magical powers is considered a bad thing, she decides to make a bargain with a demon in order to get rid of her powers. And yeah, that just sounds super interesting and exciting to me. And I also heard that the story is supposed to be similar to Howl's Moving Castle, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. So yeah, I'm afraid my expectations are pretty high for this book. I really hope I will like it. And this one is the book I am currently reading. It is Fairy Tale by Stephen King. My friend lent me this one, so it is in German. I usually do not read any books in German, but this one is an exception. And I know most people either love Stephen King or hate him, and I feel like I am somewhere in between. Like there's books I absolutely love, but some of his books are just not my thing. But I really do like this one so far. It is a story about friendship, I would say, but it has also fantasy elements. Yeah, but no horror. This is definitely not a horror novel. It is about Charlie Reed, who tells the story about how he saved the life of an elderly man when he was 17, and they became good friends, and Charlie then inherits the key to a parallel world. In order to save another friend, he decides to dive into that new foreign world. And yeah, so far I really like the book, and I do like Charlie, and I want him to succeed, and yeah. Alright, and that's all of my books for now. Have you read any of these, or would you like to read any of these books? I'd love to chat with you about it in the comments, and yeah, till next time, friends. Bye!